But yeah, this is episode 2 of the Amish Country Mets Fan Show. How are you doing tonight, Allen?
Well, other than being in hell, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long week, but I'm doing really good today. Thankfully, I'm off work today. I get to rest finally and get to rest my body up. So I'm very thankful
Awesome.
for today.
So, Allen is a host on the Let's Talk Sports Network. He hosts the morning sports newsletter with Scott. What's his last name? Cobe.
Cobe,
Cobe.
yep, Scott Cobe.
Scott Cobe.
Mm-hmm.
So check that show out, and then he also hosts the Let's Talk Major League Baseball show, which is Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Also on the Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel. So make sure you guys are checking that out. Check out the Let's Talk Sports channel if you haven't already. There's tons of great programming there. And if you're watching me for the first time, check me out at Amish Country Mets Fan here on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, same thing. On Twitter, my handle's a little different. It's at Amish Country Met. Had to shorten it. Apparently, Twitter doesn't like long names. Uh,
No.
so, and you can follow Allen as well on Twitter at Peralez 30. So check that out. I had to do a little plugging here at the start of the show. Allen, as far as I know, is a big Rangers fan in baseball and a football fan. He's the Cowboys fan, which I'm a Giants fan, so we're gonna butt heads a little there, but that's okay. So what do you think of the Rangers season so far?
I did not expect this. I'll be honest. I did not expect, 48 and, whatever they are, 48 and 32 right now. I didn't expect them to get 48 wins until the very end of the year, because that's just kind of the pattern we've been on here lately in the last couple years. But you can see what the biggest things that we've done this offseason. Obviously, it started last year bringing in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien to kind of be the leaders of this offense, and then veteran guys like Martin Perez and now Nate Eovaldi, who's come in, and even to extent, even though he's not pitching for this year or probably for the big part of next year, Jacob deGrom has been a great leader since he came into Texas as well. So he's done great things for us. But and we talk about this on our baseball show on Tuesday all the time. Probably the biggest acquisition, player, coach, manager, whatever, was Bruce Bochy. With Bruce Bochy coming in and replacing Chris Woodward, it was a complete 180, because Chris Woodward, my goodness, he tried, but it just wasn't working. None of the guys really took him seriously, and it just kind of was like, in one ear out the other. But Bruce Bochy, he's a guy who's he's won 3 World Series rings. He's top 10 now in wins as a manager all time. He's done so many good things throughout his career as a manager. And he's just brought that, he's that swift kick in the ass that the Texas Rangers desperately needed to kind of get this program going. And also, I would say also one of the other big things that they did was fire John Daniels. There was the decision was made back in the mid 2010s to get rid of Nolan Ryan over John Daniels, because many thought John Daniels was the one that built that team. No, it was Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan did a great job of building that team in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and during our World Series runs. So getting rid of John Daniels was kind of a big thing here. And, Chris Young has done a great job of bringing in talent, as I mentioned, Eovaldi. They did take the risk on Jacob deGrom, and even though it didn't really pan out on the field, he's still a leader for some of these young guys in the clubhouse and whatnot. So it's all still worked out. Still concerned about the bullpen, as we talk about all the time. The bullpen has just been atrocious, but when you're scoring, 5 to 10 runs a game, you don't really worry about the bullpen as much. But it's been bad. It's been one of the better years that the Rangers have had here in recent memory. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It was not too many. I mean, with signing DeGrom and this and that, people I think expected you guys to improve, but I don't think anybody expected this much of an improvement so quickly, especially with DeGrom not even pitching. So I think he might have, how many, he only got a few starts in.
He only pitched until late April.
Yeah.
And he's been out since. So, like, the fact that we're still first place and still playing as good as we are, I mean, kudos to. That's why I always say it's Bruce Bochy was the biggest bring in, because again, swift kick in the ass that they needed. So
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a good manager. I'm a little jealous. I mean, I know some people like Buck Showalter, but so far this year things haven't been going so well. Things have kind of derailed for the Mets, so we're on different ends of the spectrum here. But it's good to see the Rangers. I mean, I have nothing against the Rangers. I do have something against that Yankee team that you're sporting on your head.
You're not the only one, trust me.
But yeah, I always love to see them lose. So thankfully, I mean, right now Tampa's kind of owning that division, so hopefully they continue that.
And they got beat by Oakland last night, so
was fun.
That was fun to watch.
Good to see. Oakland is a very bad baseball team. Any other teams that out there in the baseball that have surprised you this year?
Arizona has been a big one for sure. We have one of the guys on our baseball show. His name is Jonathan Grishman. He's a former minor league player. He was very high on Arizona coming into the season. This is a team that maybe could challenge the Padres and the Dodgers in the NL West. Well, right now the Diamondbacks are all alone in first place, and the Dodgers are nowhere to be found. So it's like it's crazy to think that you have a Diamondbacks team that's got a mixture of young and old, kind of similar to what Texas has. These are the two teams out west that have kind of surprised a lot of people, and they're both leading their respective divisions. So I would have to say the Arizona Diamondbacks is probably the other team that I had no expectations for, and they've done very, very well this year.
Yeah, I'd throw them up there, and the Baltimore Orioles have been amazing. They're not in first place, but they're, I think, second. Yeah, they're second in that AL East.
They would be first in any other division if it wasn't for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa got off to that crazy start. They've cooled off a little bit, but that is a very good baseball team. Arozarena is phenomenal. They still employ the whole freaking wow, I'm blanking. The whole bullpen thing that they do with the they just pitch bullpen games and whatnot for the most part. So it's an interesting strategy. It seems to work for them. No other team has really gotten it to take off. You'll see it every now and then, but Tampa knows how to work it, and that offense is clicking. So they're fun to watch. But yeah, Baltimore's got so many young kids, and they got even more in the minors. So it'll be fun to see what they can do, especially if they can swing some deals for some more pitching at the deadline. Any team that keeps the Yankees out of the playoffs, that's who I'm rooting for right now.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
So let's pivot to a little football. So you're a Cowboys fan. I know in the Cowboys land things have been, I mean, it's up and down. You guys make the playoffs a lot, but you kind of tend to fold in the playoffs.
27 years of misery.
Yeah, it's been a while since your little dynasty run. What was it? How many 95. Super Bowls did you guys win?
Three in the 90s.
3. Okay, yeah. It was a pretty impressive run. Obviously, you guys are big rivals of us. What are your expectations heading into the season here?
Not much as it's been the last couple of years. I mean, if we get to the playoffs, I'll be happy. If we get a playoff win, I'll be happy. Um, I don't think with this team they've gradually gotten better. The last few years, especially under Mike McCarthy, and you look at the guys that they brought in now. Brandon Cooks is going to be a big factor in the offense. Stephon Gilmore is going to take a lot of pressure off of Trayvon Diggs, so that's going to help the defensive side a lot. So I would say, at the very least, if they probably 12 wins again, because they've done that the last 2 years. You're still going to be fighting Philadelphia for that division. So, and of course, the Giants aren't going to be slouches either because they added a lot of good pieces as well. So it's basically going to be a 3-team race again, like it was last year. So it should be fun. Should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on? Because I know different fans have different opinions, but your thoughts on Jerry Jones and his handling of the team in general.
Oh boy. I mean, as far as a businessman and what he's done in the draft recently, he's done amazing. I mean, the fact that he got both Diggs and CeeDee Lamb in the same draft is phenomenal. Micah Parsons, the year after for defense. So, I mean, it's been hit after hit after hit the last couple years. Even Tyler Smith, who was their first round pick last year, not a a lot of people questioned that pick, but he ended up being the best offensive lineman in that draft. So that's solid pick by Jerry Jones. And then of course a couple of the other guys that they drafted last year, ended up playing key roles. Damone Clark and Deron Bland were big on the defensive side last year. So as far as him on the field and getting involved in the media and all that stuff, that tends to kind of hinder this team a lot. And I get it. Jerry's got an ego the size of the state of Texas itself, but I will say this. Jimmy Johnson is why we won those Super Bowls. Because those teams were built. Yes, Jerry can take some credit for that, but mostly it was built by Jimmy Johnson. And in fact, most of it was built by Minnesota because of the Herschel Walker trade.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they won the two in 92 and 93. And of course, Jimmy left after that and they won with Switzer. But that essentially was Jimmy Johnson's team. So you got to give Jimmy Johnson credit for the 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. So, and I know Jerry's done all that he can to try and get back there. The problem is they can't even get to the NFC Championship game. That's the problem. They can't get past teams like Green Bay or Seattle or even at times the Giants, going back to 2007. It's just they just don't show up when it matters most, and it's been very, very frustrating as a Cowboys fan. I mean, I don't lie when I say this team drives me to drink because especially when we're playing Philly. For some reason, anytime we play the Eagles, it's just like one of those games where it's like, oh my God, don't do that, please. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, I have similar feelings when we play the Eagles. I have similar feelings when we play you guys, to be honest. It's been I mean, last year was definitely better, but the Giants have been kind of had a rough patch ever since Eli retired. So hopefully we do have some more expectations this year. Hopefully they work out things with Saquon. I know there's a little bit of a contract dispute there, but they did bring in Waller. They did draft some good pieces. I really liked our coach. So hopefully we can continue to improve, man. I guess it'll depend on. I'm not the biggest Daniel Jones believer, but he did well last year. It'll depend on if he continues to improve or if he regresses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, I like a lot of the pieces that they brought in. Jalen Hyatt, I was high on a lot coming out of Tennessee. So I think he's going to play a big, big, big role there for New York.
Yeah. Who's your? I mean, I know we're super early. It's only June, but if you had to pick a team that you think is going to make it. We will stop short of Super Bowl, but is a contender, like one contender that outside of the obvious. Obviously, KC is always going to be in the mix, but anybody you got on your radar?
Miami, the Dolphins. I
Really?
like their makeup a lot. I think Tua can stay healthy. If Tua stays healthy, I think that team is going to be very, very lethal. In fact, that if Tua was healthy last year, the Dolphins beat the Bills in that playoff game. Because they got close to doing it even without Tua. So I think if Tua stays healthy in that season last year, the Dolphins are they're the ones that end up making that deep playoff run. And I think they could probably do that this year if Tua stays healthy. So I like what they've done. I like bringing in Vic Fangio for the defense, going to get Jalen Ramsey, just completely overhauling that defensive scheme, and I think they're gonna worry a lot of teams this year, especially in the AFC.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's his health though. Like he hasn't been able to stay healthy, so it's gonna be. Hopefully he can. Hopefully he can stay on the field because he has proven when he can play, he changes that team. Like they're very good with him out there, but without him, they struggle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and I mean, most teams that's the case. You lose your starting quarterback, you're going to be in some trouble. Not too many teams, the backup, going to come in and be able to pick up right where the starter left off. San Francisco, I guess. San Francisco last year, they lost Jimmy G and Purdy took the reins and got him deep in the playoffs. But yeah, I like that pick. I guess if I had to pick one myself, I don't even know. I mean, it would be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the Jets do with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. They do have a lot of talent around him, so I mean, they are the Jets. We all know that the Jets always find a way to screw things up. But if there's ever a year that they need to step up, it's now with an actual competent quarterback at the helm.
You would think anyway. You would think that you have a Hall of Fame quarterback now with all the weapons and talent that you had, that the Jets can finally put it all together. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. I'm no Jets fan. I'm not a Jets hater though. I never bought into the. I don't feel like there's a Giants-Jets rivalry. It's not the same as with the Mets and the Yankees, for whatever the reason. Maybe it's just because we don't play. I mean, we play each other like once every 4 years, or really. The Jets don't affect us any, so I don't really care. I know some fans are.
Well, I was going to say the Jets haven't been relevant since Super Bowl III, so.
I didn't say that. Jets fans, Mets, Jets fans, don't yell at me. That's all Allen here.
Dan, don't get upset. I'm sorry. Dan's a Jets fan too, so yeah.
Oh no. Oh, that's funny. All right, so let's talk. There's some random talk here. So you told me that you live in Oklahoma. Are you from Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm. Born and raised.
Okay.
Little town in the Panhandle called Guyman, Oklahoma. Ironically enough, the first night I was born, they had to move me to the basement because we had a tornado.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm bad luck already.
Yeah, tornadoes freak me out a little bit. I'm in Pennsylvania, so we don't luckily get too many of those. So, but you're a Texas and Dallas fan just based on proximity, because Oklahoma obviously doesn't have a baseball team or a football team.
I mean, we have a minor league baseball team, but it used to be the Texas Rangers AAA team, but now it's the Dodgers. So, I still gravitate more to Texas than I do, the Dodgers anyway. So, I just kind of stick around those teams, and became a Cowboys fan at in the early 2000s when they were god awful. When Dave Campo was coaching, and those were those years. Those years were just awful, and to the point where, like, yeah, let's bring in Bill Parcells. Anything at this point.
Yeah, I could see that. So that you're being from Oklahoma, I imagine you're a big college sports guy or college
Mm-hmm.
football at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a Sooner fan, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're
Sooner born, sooner bred.
what are your I don't follow college football as closely, so I know they've had a few like down years
Oh,
here and
last
there.
year was very down.
Yeah. So do you expect them to bounce back this year, or is this a more long term?
Well, this is their last year in the Big 12, so I'm expecting them to go out with a bang here. So, I mean, it would only be fitting if they were able to, at the very least, get into the Big 12 title game. So, um, I'm kind of expecting them to be better. They completely overhauled the defense through the transfer portal this year. Um, their offense looks a little bit better from what I've seen, uh, and I'm hoping that it's better than 6-7. It should be better than 6-7 this year, because if it's not better than 6-7 going to the SEC, we're gonna get murdered pretty badly.
Yeah, the SEC is tough. Now, who else is going to the
Texas,
SEC? I can't. Texas is going
Texas.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I guess
Because
you guess it,
originally we were only brought in the deal because Texas made the deal, and
that makes sense.
it's because the Longhorn Network failed so badly that Texas needed the extra money, and so the SEC was like, "Yeah, we'll take Texas," and they ended up making the move. It's like, we'll take Texas as long as we get Oklahoma too, and it's like, oh crap.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They want to keep that rivalry going. It'd be a little
Mm-hmm.
harder if you were in different conferences, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'll be interesting all the realigning going on because the Big Ten, I guess, is going under a little realignment as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
USC and UCLA.
yeah, to me that doesn't.
It
You
doesn't make
guys in the
sense.
yeah, to you guys in the SEC makes a little more sense. That UCLA and USC in the Big Ten makes no sense at all. Like it doesn't. I don't know. To me, that doesn't vibe very well. But who knows? I guess it'll.
You
It's all
really
a money
want
grab.
you really want UCLA playing Rutgers in conference?
Yeah, that's so weird.
It's like we're going east and west, the whole coast to coast thing. That's not good. That's not good for travel. That's not good for the fans, and it bothers me a little bit with that.
Yeah, it's hard to be to build rivalries when you can't. Like part of that Texas Oklahoma thing, you guys get to go to like each other's stadiums and like there's a back and forth there. You
We're
get
literally like 6 hours away from each other.
yeah, that's awesome. Like you're not gonna get that with a UCLA Rutgers, like you said, or even UCLA in a bigger school like Penn State or something. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to get fans traveling to it. You'll get a few, but you're not going to get like a big back and forth there. I don't know. It just college football. I guess
it doesn't make much sense as like Texas, Georgia, or Alabama, Oklahoma, or anything like
yeah,
that.
exactly. That flows a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, college football. I guess maybe that's why they've lost me a little bit. I was really big into it, but as I am a Gators fan. I can't say was. They've actually obviously been on a little bit of a downward spiral, but just all the changes with the realigning things and all the transfer portal stuff, and I mean the transfer portal it's almost like free agency at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If you it's just weird. It's changed. The game's changed so much. I don't know. I guess baseball's changed a lot too, but I haven't left that. But I guess I don't know. Something about the way college football's doing it is rubbing me the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. And it does affect the other sports too, because you're starting to see that with basketball. You're starting to see that a little bit with baseball as well. So it's going to be interesting the next couple of years and how college sports all play out.
Yeah, for sure. So, are you as big a college basketball guy, or are you as football, or not so much?
Not as much in college basketball because as again Oklahoma is not that good as far as basketball is
Yeah, you guys are
concerned.
football school.
It's especially in the Big 12, in which it's the best conference right now for basketball because you got Kansas, Baylor. Now you're adding Houston, you're adding Cincinnati, Central Florida, BYU. You're going to be adding Gonzaga as well. So it's like, yeah, you're overhauling the entirety of the Big 12 as far as basketball is concerned. I mean, SEC, we might be able to compete a little bit better than what we did in the Big 12, but still,
Yeah, it's funny. It's like the reverse. You go from in football, you go from the Big 12 to the SEC, and it gets a lot harder. But in basketball, it gets a little easier.
Yeah, not as easy as it would be in the Big 12, but I mean, still, Alabama's okay. They're not that good of a basketball team. They've had a couple good years. Tennessee's probably the best team. Kentucky's always been up there as far as basketball wise. But other than that, there really hasn't been much of an SEC presence in basketball, throughout the course of history, except for recent history, with like Auburn, Alabama, and all those teams kind of playing better. So,
nice. So, I'm trying to think of a random question. All right, I didn't ask you about this. Who's your favorite Texas Ranger of all time?
Ivan Rodriguez. Pudge Rodriguez was, in my mind, probably the greatest catcher of all time. He was certainly such a great defensive catcher. You never ran on him. He was always found a way to get you out. He got his ring with Florida, thank goodness, because he definitely deserved it. But yeah, I would, if I had to pick one Ranger who, other than maybe Nolan Ryan, if there's one guy who just screams Texas Rangers, it's Ivan Rodriguez.
Yeah, I used to love those 90s Rangers teams with Pudge and Juan Gonzalez. I'm Puerto Rican, so they're both Puerto Rican, so they had a little bit of a special place for me. And
I will say, though, I'll have to give an honorable mention to Adrian Beltre. He holds a special place in my heart because he did really great for us when he was here. So
yeah, I was always a big Pudge guy. I always loved Juan Gonzalez. Those teams were super fun to watch. They obviously, I mean, they kept coming up against that Yankee dynasty, so that was tough. But yeah, I love those 90s Rangers squad. Hopefully this year's team will do some damage in the playoffs and get you a ring. It's been when's the last time the Rangers won a World Series?
They haven't won one. They've never won a World Series. They've been to two.
Wow.
Ever. And that was 2010 and 2011 back to back.
Yeah, I remember
ironically enough, the first one they lost to Bruce Bochy and the Giants,
mm-hmm.
who is now our manager this year. And then, of course, the one I hate the most, which is why I hate the Cardinals the most, more than I do any other team. Because why, if I ever meet David Freese in real life, I'm probably going to punch him in the face. But that Cardinal series, that broke my heart. That broke my heart because they were 1 out away from their first World Series championship, and then David Freese had to ruin it.
Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough series.
That was so tough to swallow. I was so upset.
Cardinals broke my heart in 2006. It wasn't in the World Series; it was in the NLCS. But yeah, I have a little bit of a deep-seated hatred for them too, just because of that series in 2006. They were our rivals in the 80s, but I wasn't. I was born in 86, so I didn't really get to see much of that. And then we switched divisions in the 90s, obviously, so it kind of faded. But yeah, there's definitely still some hatred there for the Cardinals.
A lot of hatred for the Cardinals. A lot of
so hatred. Then football, who's your favorite player, favorite Cowboy?
That's a good one. I would have to say Michael Irvin. I know Dion's a prime candidate for that because he, of what Dion is, but he was only there a couple years. So if I had to say long term Cowboy, probably Michael Irvin. For his playmaking. There's a reason why he's called the playmaker. So, you know, he was a wonderful, wonderful guy to watch. Get to go back and watch highlights of and whatnot. He's just it is amazing. It is amazing. Sometimes I wish we still had someone like that.
Yeah.
Like a Michael Irvin type player, which I think we kind of do right now in CeeDee Lamb, which is why he's wearing 88. So,
I'm
if
actually
I
kind
had
of
to,
surprised they didn't retire that number.
yeah. Well, Jerry likes to. Well, anytime they get a big time wide receiver prospect, Jerry likes to give them 88 as a sign of you're the next great wide receiver for the Cowboys. So he did that with Dez Bryant when he first came out. He did that oddly enough with Antonio Bryant when he first came out in the early 2000s. That was not good. Uh, but really, the only guys who there's only been 4 that have had success with it so far. Drew Pearson, as we all know, Michael Irvin, who had a great career, 88. Dez Bryant. Say what you want about him, he's a solid wide receiver. Probably not a Hall of Famer, but I think he Cowboys Ring of Honor definitely. And then CeeDee Lamb has been nothing but spectacular. And even getting to watch him in Norman when he was in Oklahoma, it's so much fun to watch CeeDee Lamb play. So if there's anybody who's come close to what Michael Irvin was back in the 90s, it's probably CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I can't argue too much with that. He's been pretty phenomenal. Obviously, he's had guys to do it for a little longer to put him on that level, but he's well on his way. So have you been to the new Ranger Stadium and Jerry World over there in Dallas?
I have not. The last time I was in Dallas was when they were building the stadium itself, building Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium. So that was the last time I got to go to a Ranger game. So I got to be in the old Globe Life Park, or the ballpark in Arlington, as it used to be called.
Yeah.
Now Globe Life Field. That's one of my bucket list items is to go to Globe Life Field and watch a game there, and of course go to Jerry World and watch a Cowboy game. So those are on the list. I don't know if they'll happen, but we'll have to wait and see at this point.
Nice. Well, I make a point of telling everybody I talk to this, because it is by far the best stadium I've ever been to. If you ever get a chance to go to Pittsburgh and go to PNC Park, you will not regret it.
Mm-hmm.
That place is special, man. I don't know what about it. Their teams always suck, and I'm no Pirates fan. I usually only go when the Mets are in town, and I'll go for the whole series. But man, there's not a bad seat in that park. The atmosphere is phenomenal. The people are pretty cool. Like, you got the history there with Clemente and all that. It's a really, really cool place to catch a game.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, if I'm ever in Pennsylvania, I definitely have to go to Pittsburgh and watch a baseball game there. So
Yeah, I've never
I'll
been
probably
to...
stay away from Philly because they'll probably try to kill me. But
Yeah, I avoid Philly. That's the other. They're totally opposite sides of the state, so it's not too hard to avoid the Philly area. I'm a little north of Pittsburgh. I'm an hour and a half north, but man, I love that park. I've never been to well, it's not Heinz Field anymore, whatever the heck they call it now, Acrisure Stadium or something. To me, it's still Heinz Field.
It's still Heinz Field.
Yeah. I never been there before, but I hear good things about that place too. But the PNC is pretty awesome. I have been to I don't know if you watch hockey much, but I've been to a Penguins game at their new arena, and that place is pretty nice too, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah. Are you you follow hockey at all, or is like
Not as
not on
much
your
as most
radar?
people. I kind of delve in it from time to time. Ironically enough, I am a Penguins fan, so
Oh,
that's
really?
like the one out of state thing that's like, yeah, I'll cheer for the Penguins because I'm a big fan of Sidney Crosby, so I'll,
Nice.
I have to cheer for the Penguins for that regard. I'm not a big fan of the Stars or anywhere close. I think the second closest team would probably be the Anaheim Ducks, just because you know you got to go the Mighty Ducks, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm actually similar to you. It's hockey is. I'm a big, huge. Baseball is my first love. Football is probably second. It used to be basketball, but lately, I don't know. I'm annoyed with the game of basketball. So basketball would be third, and then hockey's like pretty far off. I usually only follow hockey once the playoffs start, because playoff hockey is pretty amazing. Um,
mhm,
but but yeah, Crosby obviously. I mean, he's one of the greatest players to play the game. So
mhm.
definitely understand your love for the Penguins there. Um, like, I'm a Rangers guy, but like I said, I mean, nothing close. I'm not. I wouldn't call. It'd be a disservice to call myself a diehard Ranger fan because I'm far from it.
Yeah, I'm kind of that same boat. I'm not as diehard, but I'll still like keep an eye on the Penguins, make sure how they're doing and whatnot. So
So before we go, just tell everybody about your shows again and anything else you got going on. Give you a little free reign to say what you got to say.
all right. Well, as you mentioned at the top, you can find me on the Let's Talk Sports Network. I'm here, there, and everywhere. The main shows I do are the Let's Talk Major League Baseball on Tuesday afternoons, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's myself, Scott Cobe, and former minor league player Jonathan Grishman on that show. And then Scott and I do the morning newsletter on Wednesday mornings as well. I got a Monday show with Sean Jarrett on Monday mornings as well. And then the other show I really do is my vlog show, which is on Sundays. So definitely check that out as well. And then once football season starts ramping back up, we'll do Let's Talk Dallas Cowboys, of course, uh, with the season coming in. And we got the Giants week 1, which is very fitting. It's always fitting. Sunday night
Yeah,
football, Cowboys Giants. It doesn't get better than that, really. So I mean, fitting way to start the year for sure. Um, and then of course every so often, whenever my cousin Sean is available, we'll do Let's Talk Oklahoma Sports. And we'll definitely gonna be next time we do that, we'll probably be talking a lot about the Big 12 and what we expect from the Big 12 this year. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun year, and I'm excited for it.
nice. That's awesome. So I appreciate you. I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been fun chatting
Mhm.
with you. Love to have you on some other time.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
um, like I love, especially baseball. I love talking sports, but I can talk baseball all day and all night, and not necessarily just Mets talk. I'm into the game in general. I literally, if I got season tickets to the Pirates one year, like I said, I'm not a Pirates fan. I just wanted to go to PNC and watch baseball all year. Like,
Right.
so
I mean,
baseball's my thing.
I keep hearing so many good things about PNC Park. So if it's the luxurious park I keep hearing about, I mean, why not go to a baseball game, right?
No, it really is. Like I'm not one to like just heap praise just for the sake of it. Like, and like I said, I got no real connection to the Pirates, but man, that stadium is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
But
don't
anyways,
doubt it.
yeah.
I don't doubt it for a minute.
Um, Again, thank you so much. Like he
Mm-hmm.
said, follow all his shows. He has a ton. Please check out Let's Talk Sports channel. There's so many. I mean, there's football content, baseball content, college sports. I think I've seen soccer content on there, hockey,
Wrestling, tennis.
wrestling, tennis, anything. You're looking for any sports content, check out Let's Talk Sports. I'm sure you'll find something that's up your alley. Make sure you're following along with this show. It'll be on every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Um, Shout out to Dan who finds me my incredible guests. This is only my second episode, but I hope to do many more. Quick plugs before I go. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Amish Country Mets Fan. Here as well, if you're watching, subscribe to my YouTube. Also at Amish Country Mets Fan. Drop a comment, like. If you can't watch the show live, like I said, you can always come back and watch it another time. Same with any show on Let's Talk Sports. You can always go back and watch the replays. You don't have to watch them live. So check us all out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Allen. Everybody have a good rest of your week, and peace.